Hello, my name is Benny Agius and I'm the General Manager of Echo Publishing, and I'm delighted to be here today with our wonderful author Emma Viskic, who is here to tell us a little bit about herself. She's just had so many wonderful accolades. I think it's just a little easier if I just read from my little sheet here to tell you all about Emma's fabulous success. Emma is the acclaimed author of the Caleb Zelic series, has been published worldwide. Resurrection Bay won the 2006 Ned Kelly Award for Best First Fiction, so I can't see, and an unprecedented 3 Davits Awards. Now that's actually quite remarkable, and we're so proud of that, as I know Emma is. It was iBooks Australia Crime Novel of the Year and shortlisted for the UK's prestigious Gold Dagger and New Blood Dagger Awards. Even more extraordinary, and New Westbury Awards. And Fire Came Down won the 2018 David Award for Best Novel and was longlisted for the Dublin International Literary Award. That doesn't come easy. Darkness for Light was also joint winner in the 2020 David Award for Reader's Choice, which has just happened last week. So we're excited about that. Formerly a classical, do you say clarinetist?
Yeah.
Yep. Emma's musical career ranged from performing with Jose Carrera, can't wait to hear all about that, to playing an engagement party that ended in a brawl. She learned Australian Sign Language Auslan in order to write the character of Caleb, who is profoundly deaf. She lives in Melbourne and is currently working on the 4th of the series, Those Who Perish. And I can't wait to get my hands on that one, Emma. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, people love your books and love reading about your wonderful characters, but people would also like to know a little bit about you and what you like to read. What do you love to read, Emma?
I read almost everything, except horror, because I scare incredibly easy, which is a little embarrassing to admit, because I know my books skew a bit dark, but there is something about horror and supernatural that scares the pants off me. So we'll put that to one side. And possibly also affected by the fact that I accidentally read The Shining when I was about 10.
That'd do it.
Yeah, I think it just scarred me for life. My parents gave me free reign of their bookshelf when I was around about 10, and I read everything from Jane Austen to, well, Stephen King. And yeah, I just read whatever I got, and it was a pretty silver cover. And so, yeah. So let's put horror to one side. So I obviously read a lot of crime fiction. And I love, I guess I first came across crime fiction as a teenager, and Raymond Chandler and people like that, the real classics of American noir. And I fell in love with the real crispness of the dialogue and the really finely and quickly drawn characters. And also I found the way Chandler and people like that, Dashiell Hammett, describe the people around them and the society and everything, which was so incredibly foreign to me as a girl growing up on the outskirts of Melbourne, on the outskirts of Frankston. So I was fascinated. But I also read a lot of just straight literary fiction and poetry and things as well. I'm just loving this new wave of, I guess you'd call them, some people they're not really memoirists, sort of autofiction, like Rachel Cusk and people like that, and Elizabeth Strout. And again, it's that really crisp writing that and gives you incredible insight, psychological insight into people. So Hilary Mantel, not a short writer, but oh my gosh, her writing, the Thomas Cromwell in particular.
You can smell the dirt in the floor of her books. That's what I love about her.
Exactly, yeah. So, you know, I guess the common feature in all the books and the authors that I like is that they're really interested in people. They're interested in what makes people tick. So even if I go back to, I had a really heavy phase of John le Carré as a teenager. And all my writing, I recently discovered a whole box of my childhood writing, all the way from like when I was 5 all the way through high school. And you can tell what I was reading from what I was writing, the style I was writing. So when I was about, I guess I was about 12 or 13 and, you know, going to high school, it was all the Greek myths. And, you know, I did a rip-off of a Perseus myth, you know, and there's Medusa and everything in the starring role. obviously. But then
the hair would do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I really identified. And then I went through my really heavy John le Carré phase when I was about 14 or 15, and I've got these appalling little snippets of not quite finished, books where I've written things in terrible English accents, say, "Oh, I say, old chap, what are we going to do about that sky? Hey, what?" yeah. But again, I've gone back and revisited a lot of those books, and I realised, first of all, I understood nothing of them, obviously. But I've also discovered that there are also books that explain how people think and work, right back from the Greek myths to the John le Carré, to the Jane Eyre, to the, so...
But isn't that what makes a really great read, though? The fact that
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You get it on different levels at different times in your life. And, and then when I guess when I hit my 20s, I used to just pick up the Saturday paper, read the reviews and go out and get the book, hope it was in the library. And if it wasn't, I'd save up and buy them. And so I came across great writers that way, like Paul Auster and Ben Okri, and just traveling the world, because I hadn't traveled the world at that stage. That was sort of came a bit later.
They took you to those faraway places where I remember reading The Life and Times of Michael Kay, and thinking, wow, this is a world completely unknown to me. And I felt quite sheltered in my little Australian world, but great fiction takes you to another place, and great crime fiction scares the bejesus out of you, even when you're not expecting it to. So horror is just creepy, yucky, but good crime fiction makes you kind of go, oh no, don't open that door. Please don't open
the door. Look, I wish I wasn't so timid with the horror, because I know there's some brilliant horror writing out there. But I seem to be able to pull back enough with the crime and go, I can imagine that happening. And I don't want to open the door, but I'm going to anyway. which is why one of the reasons why I write crime fiction myself. Because
I think that's why people love good crime fiction, Emma, because I think what it lends itself to is that you can see yourself being in that place unexpectedly, just walking down the street as an observer or a person that's about to have the crime committed to. I think that's what a really good writer does.
Yeah, I think to see yourself in that place, or to try and imagine how you would not get into that position as well. I mean, that's part of it, I think. And also, I know for me, it's not necessarily as the victim, but sometimes as a perpetrator, and not as the detective. But like, yeah, I can imagine doing that. I can imagine having that wonderful much rage.
That wonderful line in Orange is Not the Only Fruit. Jeanette Winterson, when she wrote Why Don't You Just Be Happy, her memoir. And there's this wonderful line where she says, most people can't imagine ever murdering someone. I'm not one of those people. I just love that line.
Such a great writer, isn't she? Yeah, no, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, I can too.
Maybe we shouldn't be doing this this isn't, no,
I know.
Not going out there or anything. I put it online.
There'll be a detective at our front door, Emma, going, you do it. Well, maybe we should stop talking about murdering people and talk about your wonderful musical career as well. I mean, how is it to be, to make music? To me, that is something that's a real gift.
I miss it, actually. I miss it. I stopped performing professionally, I guess, a couple of years ago, because there's just not enough time and there's not enough brain space to do both well. But I mean, growing up, music and writing were always there, and they're still very much both intermingled in my mind. I mean, I write the way I practice. I say I read things aloud. I like to feel the rhythms, both of the books as a whole, and also on individual sentences. So that part of music's still in my life. What I really miss is being in the middle of a chord. So in an orchestra, just being there's sound all around you, and you have to just fit in perfectly, and just the tone that you're making and how flat or sharp it is changes depending where you are with the instruments around you, and I really do miss that. That's sad. I don't miss performance nerves though at all.
Oh, really? Did you get
At
the
all,
memo?
at
Did
all.
you?
Oh, I mean, everybody does. Everybody does.
Even in an orchestra?
Yes, less so in an orchestra than solo performances, and I did a lot of chamber music too, so small ensembles, small audiences, and that's my real love, small stuff, because you can feel the audience I mean, you can with a big audience as well. So even if you've got a few thousand people, you can feel the energy and the emotions and the feedback from the audience. With a chamber music concert though, it's far more intimate. So you get that direct feedback in a really big way. So that's a really lovely thing to do. But no, absolutely nerves, terrible nerves. And that's one of the beautiful things about writing is you get to go and edit all your mistakes. It's one of the
you can't do that.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, I'll just fix it.
That's a dumb note.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'll just
that's exactly
that
right. That's exactly right. And if you don't pick it up, instead of a conductor scowling at you, your editor goes,
what have you done here? Well, look, I have to ask you then, with the fabulous Jose Carrera, was that a wonderful time? Was that a great experience?
Yeah, now that wasn't an intimate experience. That was a big orchestra, the big tennis centre, and I did a few big arena concerts like that with people. But it is so exciting because you've got 10,000 people there who are just on the edge of their seat going, it's Jose Carreras. And I do love his voice. He's got such a beautiful voice. So
it's just stunning.
Yeah,
and he's beautiful. Like he has a presence about him.
Yeah.
But I often, when I go to the opera, or I often go to the opera house here and watch Sydney Symphony, there just seems like there's so many people there, and I think, do you all know each other? Do you all chit chat? Do you all kind of go, "Hi, it's you again"? How does an orchestra work? It's kind of like one of those. I wish I was in there, but I don't know how it works.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's you're both working on an individual level and a slightly bigger level. Because I'm a clarinet player, you are almost a soloist in the orchestra, in that you're the only person playing your part. So you're working with the other clarinetists, because there'll be 2 or 3 clarinets, and then you're working with the slightly bigger woodwind section, and then you're working with the whole orchestra, and then you're also paying attention to the conductor. So your mind's doing all these various things. So it can be incredibly exciting as well as nerve-wracking. It is. You are concentrating when you're playing. Yeah.
It seems to me like you have to be on the whole time you're on stage. You can't kind of think about the shopping list or look at that woman in the front row, she's a bit underdressed, or
Certainly as a clarinet player, because you are the only person playing your part, if you muck up, it is incredibly obvious if you muck up. And you don't want Jose turning around going, Emma, seriously, it's an A flat.
Love, I told you.
Love, honey, no.
Lift it up. Well, what a wonderful experience. And you said you miss it, and but clearly writing is now just becoming such a big part of everyday life for you, and you've got your new book coming out. But how do you wind down after you've spent a day writing? What do you do?
It is incredibly hard for me to switch my brain off, actually. So I'm trying to get stricter with, this is the end of the day, stop writing now, because I tend to get a second wind about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and the family's going off to bed, and I go, I'll start writing now. And then the next thing I know, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, which is fine, except then when you have to get up the next morning, it doesn't work so well. So I'm trying really,
and the
really
family's
hard.
going, hello?
Yes, it's very grim. So I'm trying not to do that because I am such a night owl. So I will do the very boring things like go for a walk, do yoga, watch Netflix. And because I'm in Melbourne lockdown, I have been watching quite a lot of Netflix. But I've also
What have you been watching?
Well, I've been rewatching The West Wing, The Wire.
Oh, how good!
Breaking Bad, and an amazing show called Indian Matchmaking. I think that's what it's called.
Isn't that
Indian Matchmaker? I am there. I am so invested in the couples. I haven't watched the last one yet, but I'm so there. And in amongst all that, I decided that I probably needed a hobby. So I took up knitting.
Oh,
it hasn't been going very well. I started, it must have been about 5 months ago. And I thought, I'll make myself a writing jacket. It's going to be great. And I have had to undo it. So I've got it here. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, let's see.
I've had to undo it so many times. So this is 5 months.
Oh, it's a writing neckline. It's a beautiful colour, Em.
It is. It's lovely soft wool, but
it's lovely. 5 months.
So yeah, I've had to undo it so many times because because I'm not concentrating, and even though I might be watching something, my brain's usually doing writing and other things as well. So I've dropped 5 stitches. Well, I better undo it again. So
well, I've been watching a fabulous thing called The Bureau. And
oh yes, a few people have recommended it.
Highly recommend it. But there's been so much good television around. Do you ever kind of go, oh, that plot line's not working? And,
all the time. All the time.
While you're dropping your stitches at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Look, well, we might revisit this in a year's time, and hopefully you'll have a really beautiful writing jacket. Do you know, many years ago when I was a very young woman and I had a very nice boyfriend, and I thought I'll knit him a jumper. And I did. I knitted him a beautiful jumper that was so tight he could barely get into it. But the sleeves were kind of like these huge puffs. He looked so ridiculous. But to his credit, he wore it.
He didn't break up with you.
And he lost it somewhere.
Lost it.
So persevere.
Yeah. We'll see how we go.
Well, Emma, this has been so delightful. It's been just lovely catching up. And I'm sorry that we probably won't get to see each other for a while now, because I'm up here in Sydney. But it sounds to me like it, hopefully restrictions will get less and you might be able to get some more fresh air. And I know you're busy working on Those Who Perish. How's that going for you? Are you happy with your progress?
Today I am. Tomorrow I wasn't. Let's see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, today I've killed someone today. So yeah.
Well, I guess that's the thing we're talking about, murdering someone. At least you get to do it just there on the paper.
That's right. Yeah, you get a little spark of adrenaline. Yeah.
It's so interesting. I look at your beautiful angelic face and I think behind that lies this
dark, evil person.
Dark woman with knitting needles that she can.
They're bamboo. Yeah.
I was speaking to a woman in New Zealand recently, and she was so lovely and sweet. And you would have sworn she would have, just been like the organist at the church, or, something really quite lovely. And I don't want to say the Tupperware lady, but, it's like the Tupperware lady, just, beautiful and calm and rounded and, happy in herself. And she said, I've written a book. And I said, oh, I'd love to have a look at it. Well, the opening scene was the most horrific murder I have ever read in my entire life. It was so appalling. It was like, just you wouldn't expect that kind of person to write something like that. So I think we all have our inner murderer.
Well, that's the thing about the crime writing community, is so warm and supportive, and crime writers are all, very nice to each other. And this seems to be in any country I've been to. And the theory is that we get it out on the page. And that's what I'm sticking to anyway.
Yeah, I'll keep you to that.
Yeah.
Emma, it's been so delightful. Thank you so much.
Lovely chatting with you. Thanks, Benny.
Lovely chatting with you too. And we'll catch up soon.
Yeah, cross fingers.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.